Expats have been coming to Oaxaca for going on a century. It isn't hard to see why. This is a city of leafy promenades and intimate plazas. Its center, a World Heritage Site, boasts a beautiful zocalo that opens onto a large plaza that's home to the city's 16th century cathedral. Old churches and other Spanish colonial buildings are everywhere here, including the former church and monastery of Santo Domingo de Guzman, now a cultural center with its own botanical garden. Oaxaca is a place that most every lover of Mexico adores for its colonial charm, eternal spring-like weather, indigenous culture, nearby antiquities sites, and for its food and arts and crafts. Here, you don't think in terms of old and new. Rather, it's old and older. The city's long tradition of tourism has fostered a lively culinary scene, both in terms of restaurants and street food. And given the inherent romance of the place, it also has a long-standing reputation as a wedding destination.
Okay.
Of Oaxaca's many neighborhoods, or barrios, none is more colorful than Jalatlaco. Here, the colonial houses are works of art. Even the mundane has been made beautiful. It's also where the tamale vendor makes house calls.
"500 years ago, Jalatlaco was a Zapotecan village. Today, it's just one of the many charming neighborhoods of Oaxaca, filled with cobble streets and colorful street art. Aside from its obvious charms, or maybe because of them, Oaxaca has long been a magnet for writers seeking the essence of Mexico. Among them, Graham Greene, D.H. Lawrence, and Malcolm Lowry.
Greene was here in the 1930s while gathering information for The Lawless Roads, his non-fiction treatise on anti-clericalism, which was rampant in Mexico at the time. He wasn't much impressed with the place, although a bout of dysentery may have had something to do with it. Lowry, the brilliant but alcohol-enthralled author of Under the Volcano, had 2 stints here, one in the 1930s, the other in the 40s. He's said to have spent a lot of time in cantinas and was jailed once for public drunkenness, which he later wrote about.
Which brings us to D.H. Lawrence and the house where he and his German wife, Frida, lived in 1924. It's just up the street. In the house behind me, Lawrence spent 6 months rewriting his classic Mexico novel, The Plumed Serpent, along with major portions of a collection of essays that became Mornings in Mexico.
Much of the work is said to have been done in a lovely interior courtyard, but as you can see, today the house is pretty much veiled off from the street. There's one place in town with a connection to both men, the old Hotel Franzia that nowadays is the spiffed-up Hotel Casona, Oaxaca. Lawrence and Lowry lived here briefly, and I thought, well, wouldn't it be cool to see the place and maybe even locate the rooms?
Oddly enough, no one I've spoken to here at the hotel seems to know anything about D.H. Lawrence or Malcolm Lowry. So the question remains, where was Lawrence's room?
Lawrence and Frida spent their first 9 nights in Oaxaca here while searching for a house. They also ended their time in Oaxaca here, with Lawrence so desperately ill with malaria and flu that when he checked out, he had to be taken out on a stretcher to be placed on a train for Mexico City. A newspaper account from years ago says theirs was room 140, but after the hotel's renovation, no such number exists. Neither does the hotel market the fact that Lawrence and Lowry were once respectively guest and resident here. Finally, after talking with a desk clerk, it all began to make sense.
Y este era un bar que se llamaba D.H. Lawrence. Sí, sí.
From what he understood, he said, the room where Lawrence stayed was torn out for renovation to create a new lobby. And yes, he said, you are standing on the spot. So there it is, an expat literary mystery solved. Or not. "10 kilometers outside the city are the ancient ruins at Monte Alban, one of several significant archaeological sites nearby. This is the once powerful capital of the ancient Zapotecs, whose domain stretched over a large chunk of southeastern Mexico. It was a formidable kingdom from about 500 BC until roughly 900 CE. The Zapotecs are not only notable for the pyramids they left behind, but for their artistry and fine ceramics, characteristics of their descendants who today occupy the Oaxaca Valley. There's a reason the Zapotecs built Monte Alban where they did, on an open hilltop above the valley. They clearly wanted it to be seen. This ancient ball court, dating to 100 years before Christ, is one of 5 built at Monte Alban. Modern archaeology has given us a better understanding of Zapotec culture. These large stone carvings, once believed to be dancers, are now considered to represent sacrificial victims of Zapotec enemies. Unlike an increasingly number of pyramids at Mexico's archaeological sites, they still let you climb this one. The payoff at the top is amazing. In a sense, it can be said that Monte Alban is the ancient version of Oaxaca City, much in the same way that, say, ancient Corinth was the predecessor of the present Greek city that bears its name. In other words, to truly appreciate the place Oaxaca is today, it's best not to ignore this hilltop. There's a reason expat writers and others have come to Oaxaca seeking the essence of Mexico. It's a long way from Mexico City, but so much of what we associate with Mexican art, food, and culture has origins here. It has given the country and world presidents and great artists, and it continues to give expats a place to call home.